This integrated audio-video control level 1 course will cover KeyDigital's audio systems and audio products. Of course, the perfect complement to our assortment of video products. You'll be looking to use our audio products in any of your systems with speech and presentation, when you may need to enforce some sound beyond the speakers of the video displays. Perhaps you need to mix audio sources together, or have an external amplifier for a passive soundbar. So you're going to be thinking of us commonly in conference rooms and classrooms, certainly. Bar and restaurants, where we have our audio matrix that is not a mixer. So it's just going to give you a single audio source to your zone. It's going to be very popular for bar and restaurant, whole home audio distribution, or with our KeyDigital amp where you can mix in a microphone input. So that's going to be one of your design considerations as well. Other design considerations is, are you doing video distribution or video switching? If so, are you using one of KeyDigital's products with audio de-embedding that can then feed into our amplifier or into our products? Do you need a mix of that microphone in with additional audio sources? And how do you wish to control this audio system? All considerations when building these systems. We'll begin with the KD-Amp 220. It is a 2-channel, 20 watt per channel amplifier at 4 ohm, or 40 watt per channel at 8 ohm amplifier. The product has a microphone input with the ability to provide phantom power for that microphone. So you will no longer need to design a microphone mixer if it's just a single mic in this case. You have variable level adjustment for the mic volume control and the output volume control. And you have 2 analog inputs, one on balanced unbalanced 6-pin Phoenix, and another on a TRS 3.5mm stereo plug. And the output of the system of the AMP 220 is always a mix of the microphone with the selected either input 1 or input 2 audio source. On the output side, you do have a balanced unbalanced pass-through of that audio. You also have your speaker outputs for speaker level audio. There's a noise gate, an external IR sensor, so we see on the rear of the unit the 3.5mm plug, and that's because we include an external IR sensor that's on a 6-foot wire. So as this amplifier is a Class D amplifier, it's digital, it's very small and compact and powerful. Perhaps this amplifier will be located behind a display or monitor, out of sight, out of mind, and so that's why we installed that. We made the IR sensor external, so the sensor can be installed somewhere to collect line of sight IR if needed, or it can be controlled via RS-232. Speaker level outputs, you can do left-right stereo. You may do left-right stereo with parallel speakers. You may bridge the output, the speaker output as well. And we take a look at the Open API for the AMP 220, where we have all of the commands you could ever need. And we can go through these command sets in the Integrated Audio Video Control Level 2 course. Just kind of teaching you how to connect to the units and how to speak to the units over sending these ASCII strings over terminal softwares, for example, or integrating it in with third-party control systems is all possible. We move on to the KD-MAX 8x8. This is a 8x8 audio matrix, but actually it acts as a 16x8 multi-format multiplexer because each of the 8 inputs has analog and digital, and they can be selected independently. It's not a setup per source. Because there is analog and digital in and analog and digital out, MAX 8x8 can do A to D or D to A conversions. You have the full assortment of DSP per output, which we'll get into, but there are no DSP adjustments, volume adjustments, for example, per input, but we do have a very nice feature called Input Audio Association we'll get into. The digital audio connections do support multi-channel formats up to Dolby and DTS 5.1, and you could expand your system by stacking multiple MAX 8x8 units. One of the coolest features, as this is one of the newest products added to the KeyDigital assortment of products as of recording of this video, is that we now have front USB configuration for this product, so you can install it in the rack, plug in a USB cable from your PC laptop, and begin configuring this unit, applying the IP address, setting your input and output names for parsing by the KeyDigital app, for example. And then once you have that IP address set and have the unit on your network, you could even remove yourself from or disconnect that USB cable and connect over the network, perhaps over Wi-Fi, and allow your colleagues installing the rack to move on with their work. So I mentioned earlier the very cool feature, Input Audio Association. Input Audio Association is really, really great because we've had many generations of these audio matrixing products here at KeyDigital, and it had always been kind of, it always resulted in becoming a very advanced system. When you had analog and digital input, you'd have to do your matrix switching and perhaps enable analog to digital conversion or digital to analog conversion depending on the source that you've selected. And what we want to do at KeyDigital here is we want to make you, the integrator, we want to make your life as easy as possible. And so many of you using third-party control systems have already been using KeyDigital video matrices for years and years. And as such, you may be familiar with this basic KeyDigital matrix switching command, SPO_XXSIYY, where O, output, is XX value and I, input, is YY value. And so you probably already have these drivers from all your control systems loaded on your computers. And what this input association allows you to do is specify each input to be either analog or digital, so that as you select that source, you could just call that basic KeyDigital matrix switching command to select an input without having to specify if the input is analog or digital with an additional command string. So essentially what this allows you to do is insert a KeyDigital matrix that's audio and allow you to control it as if it were one of our video matrices that many of you have been working with using this exact same command string, SPO_XX, output XX, select input YY, input YY, because we've been using that same command string for the past decade now. On the output side, you have the ability to control volume, muting control, delay up to 150 milliseconds, bass, mid, treble, balance left and right, and you even have the ability to set your output to be mono mode. So you could select a stereo, analog, or digital source, and we can make that output, the left channel, have a mix of the left and right, and have the right channel be a mix of left and right. So this is a very useful feature, as oftentimes professional amplifiers are 3-pin connector versus 6, or perhaps you'd like to integrate, do an output that's more of a music output and have that come in with a microphone input, kind of creating a loop through there. And we look at the KeyDigital app interface for KD-MAX 8x8 Pro. You have your 8 input and output buttons, and with the output, you have your DSP controls there that you see. We give you the volume and the muting control by slider or plus and minus for the volume control. You have your friendly naming, so we see here output 1, 2, 3, input 1, 2, 3, for etc. Or for example, but you're actually able to name those inputs so the end user can easily see what they are actually. You do have the ability to use this as an 8x8 switch or a 16x8 switch. So you see on our input side, you could choose analog or digital. But there's two different screens there, 8x8 or 16x8. So it's really, we want to keep it simple for those users that want to keep it simple. And one brilliant thing for the MAX 8x8 Pro KeyDigital app is that the storing of presets, so for example, what source is being listened to in what zone, but also storing the preset volume and muting control for each output, so that you can, so that let's say for example you have a bar or restaurant, they have a DJ playing at the night, and they leave the preamp, in this case the MAX 8x8 Pro, at a full volume level. You come in the morning, you blow your amplifiers, right? Well, you can actually create presets within this free app that allow you to create an open preset and a closed preset, a DJ preset, etc., so that you can have the appropriate volume levels throughout the level of the throughout the day, time of day, and you don't have to worry about blowing your amplifiers anymore. And you have the full access to our open API in the owner's manual or through the help command of the MAX 8x8 Pro. If you're building a driver for a third-party control system, you see all the commands there. And we will go over these commands and how to communicate via third-party communications terminal softwares in the Integrated Audio Video Control Level 2 professional courses. And we thank you for viewing this IAVC Level 1 professional course.